Welcome to our women's basketball recap here for Fordham Athletics. Jackson Heil, joined by Fordham women's basketball head coach Stephanie Gately. Coach, I wish I could be talking to you in the best of times, but hope everything's going well.
Oh, it's going good. I mean, it's been a great group of kids. It's unfortunate how it ended. I mean, it was tough. That 2-week layoff was tough. Because we were playing really good basketball, and I think the kids would have liked to have a shot at the regular season title. But you control what you can control, and the kids came back and got a GW win, and we played a really good UMass team. UMass just lost in the final, and they were playing really well too. So I mean, we wait now for a WNIT bid, which I'm confident we'll get, and the kids will be rewarded for their body of work, which is exciting.
Don't want to look back too much at the UMass game specifically, but I do want to ask for your assessment on the season as a whole, as you kind of alluded to there. You guys really did have a terrific season going up until that pause. You finished 8-2 in Atlantic 10 play. You finished with the 2 seed. Even with everything that went on in terms of obstacles and dealing with the pandemic, how would you assess this season?
I'm super proud. I mean, I think it's, you don't want to sell the team short and say we overachieved, but considering all the obstacles between the beginning of the year when Bryson left the team, and then, Sonia's personal battle with cancer, and, losses, that people are having in their family, and just obviously the COVID that everyone was dealing with. It was, our kids have just bounced back on every obstacle we face. And so I couldn't be more proud of this group. The chemistry was outstanding. It's one of the closest teams I've ever coached. So I'm thankful to get to coach them.
Let's talk about the individual accolades, because you guys set records in that regard. Caitlin Downey, all A10 third team and academic team. Kendall Jeremiah, all A10 second team. And, of course, Anna DeWolf with really a sweep, all academic team, all A10 first team, and then co-player of the year. First time ever you guys have had 3 individuals get all A10 honors. I know how much you talk about individual accolades being team accolades as well. So how special was it, not only for those 3, but for your team as a whole to come away with those awards?
I just think it proves the thing we talk all the time, that if your team has success, individuals will be rewarded. I mean, there's a lot of good kids that play on teams that aren't successful, and they don't get recognized just because, their team doesn't have the same success. But if you have a successful year, your team's going to be recognized. And I think that played out this year, and I couldn't have been happier for the kids.
Let's talk about what was supposed to be a very special senior night that was unfortunately called off. But even after the 2-week pause, you guys get to go to GW and you get to have a senior night. How important was that, just after everything you guys have been through, to be able to go through something like that, even though it was certainly an unprecedented senior night?
I mean, I'm very thankful to GW for the support they showed with that. They showed great class, and Jen was more than happy to help us with that situation. And I'd like to think for the seniors that we did right by them, and we recognized them there, but we also went back to the hotel and had, some videos and showed them some family videos, and just, we're able to celebrate with them as well. And obviously it wasn't your traditional senior night, but I think we made the best of a very difficult situation.
Coach, there's one moment I did want to point out in the UMass game. Obviously, there was an unfortunate collision at the end between Anna and Kendall, but there was a moment on the sideline when everything was happening where you brought the entire team in for a huddle, and it seemed like there was a lot of smiling going on in that time, even though you guys kind of knew that the game was a bit out of hand at that point. Few questions here. What does that say about the culture of this group to be able to be, especially from your perspective, to be able to bring an uplifting time in that moment, even when you have 2 of your best players colliding at that moment? And what was said during that huddle?
Well, the whole cleanup took so long, right? And there was, Kendall turns and you see blood coming down her face, and they said Anna took an even harder hit. So I'm thinking, God, I know what Kendall looks like. I can't even imagine. I didn't see the hit, so I couldn't even imagine. I don't even want to see it. And then we were standing there for so long, so I was huddling with the kids that I had subbed in for them. And then I looked over and I saw some kids crying on the bench, and I'm like, oh my God, we've been a team through this whole thing. We got to bring it in. So we just did a group hug, and I just said, guys, I couldn't be prouder of you. I'm super proud of this team. We're going to fight to the end. Whatever's on that clock, we're going to give everything we have, because that's all we know. So I just felt it was a moment that, we have kind of been pulled together through adversity all year, and that was an adverse moment. So I thought, hey, no better time than to pull them together again and say, we'll get through this too. We'll get through this together.
Coach, before we get you out of here, obviously Selection Monday is coming up, and the WNIT very much in reach for you guys, given the resume you guys put forward. What's the biggest thing you're looking forward to about the potential opportunity to play postseason basketball again?
I just, reward for the kids. I mean, we told them, and I try to explain to them, because obviously kids are in the moment and they only know what they know, right? And I've done this a long time, and it's so hard to win a conference championship. I mean, you have to have so many things aligned right for you. And the junior class, and the juniors and seniors have enjoyed one, right? And it's a road. It's a long road to get to that point. And so I was just trying to explain to the kids that road is difficult. And our last loss in January was to UMass, so it was even more difficult for this team. So we hadn't lost since the UMass lost in January. So we hadn't experienced losing other than to the scout squad. Thank you, Jackson. So that was our only losses we had experienced. So then I was just sitting there thinking, all right, I needed to pick them up, So I try to explain to them from a coach's standpoint, like this senior class, I'm going to take out last year because we would have been a WNIT team, has brought up, can potentially bring a banner every year that they've been here. That is an incredible accomplishment, especially tomorrow night when only 32 teams will get WNIT bids. So less than 100 teams will be continuing to play when there's over 350 some teams in Division I. So that means we're one of the top 100 teams in the country. And for us to accomplish that, I think kids don't see that because they're in the moment that it's the body of work. It's just not that last game. It's the reason we're going to get that reward is because of our body of work. And so, sometimes people get caught up in that last game. And then when time goes by, you're like, wow, then you reflect and you realize, but with only 32 teams going to the NIT, it's even a more incredible accomplishment, that what we can accomplish by getting a WNIT bid. So this team has super, I don't want to say super overachieved because they would take that's an insult to them, but they've just done a super job overcoming adversity.
Coach, we really appreciate the time as always throughout this entire season. Thank you so much, as always, for spending time with us, and congratulations on what's been a great season so far, and best of luck going forward.
Oh, thanks so much, Jackson. I appreciate it. Take care.
Welcome back inside the Rose Hill Gym. Emmanuel Berbari joined by Fordham men's basketball interim head coach Mike DePauli. Mike, good to be with you.
Manny, great for having me, man. I appreciate the time.
The GW game, first round of the A-10 tournament, you come off a 2-week COVID pause. The team battles to a really close, nitty-gritty outcome against GW. What did that tell you about your team?
Yeah, so it told us a lot. Basically, one of the biggest things we took away from it was they had the right response. To get shut down for 13 days and then have 4 to 5 days to come back and compete the way they did with only 4 to 5 days of practice says a lot about who they are, their type of character. And I said this in the post-game press conference, and I really mean it. Most times at the end of a season that's had a lot of turmoil, we spent 2 out of 6 months in quarantine, people are like, I can't wait for this season to be over. We had an emotional locker room. Guys were bought in. Guys wanted to keep playing. The couple of days of practice we had leading up to it down in Richmond, guys were really bought in. Guys were working hard. So it says a lot about the character of the team and that they had the right response throughout the course of the year, because this year offered you a lot of excuses if you were willing to take them. And some teams did, some players did take them, but our guys never took the excuse. You can always find a reason why you can't do something or a reason why you can do something. And our players throughout the course of the year always found reasons of how we could get something done. Going into Richmond, with us being on campus, the quarantine was a little different. They were allowed outside their dorm rooms, but we couldn't get in the gym or the weight room with them. So we had them running around campus, and it snowed 2 or 3 days where we were running around campus, but we had guys out there in groups of 4 or 5 running 3 miles around campus, just trying to keep their cardio up so they could stay ready. So my point is, we found ways to try and get it done, to try and compete, and we tried to leave all the excuses to other people.
You mentioned some of those potential excuses, whether it be those layoffs in December, and then vamping up towards an A-10 tournament. You have a pause there. You're not able to socialize as much on campus or do anything outside of basketball this year. Once the season finished, what was the collective reaction to what the team had just gone through?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Manny. And one of the things that I talk to the guys a lot about this year, and it goes back to trying not to make excuses, but to have an attitude of gratitude. And I think just to be grateful for the opportunity that we had the chance to play college basketball in the middle of a pandemic. because again, there's a lot bigger things out there happening in the world. But having that attitude of gratitude, guys were grateful for the opportunity. We're grateful for the opportunity to compete, grateful for the opportunity that our university supported us during this time. But after the season, these guys, a lot of them, when they came back to campus in August, had to do 2 weeks in a hotel before they could even get to campus. Then there's no Thanksgiving. There's no Christmas with their families. None of their families were able to watch them play this year. So it was really important for these guys to get a chance to go home, put their arms around mom, dad, brother, sister, whoever it is, and spend some time at home. So I think right now we have 4 guys on campus. Everyone else is home. In the next 10 days, they will be coming back to campus. But it was really important, I think, mentally, for them to get home, not just from a basketball standpoint, but again, you talk about we are still in the middle of a pandemic. We are still wearing masks. It's important to be able to see your loved ones when you have an opportunity.
This year, you get the opportunity to be an interim head coach for the second half of the season. You've been here for a decade. That's a new responsibility that you were able to undertake. What did you learn about yourself?
Yeah, it's a great question. To start, I'm just so thankful for the guys, for their response to me as the head coach, because you can see this go one way or the other. But they came in every single day. They were engaged. They wanted to get better. They had a good response to me being the head coach, which I really appreciated, really humbled by. So that was the biggest thing, being really grateful for the players every single day. But one of the things, I learned about myself, and this may sound like a really simple thing, you have to be yourself. And when it first happened, a lot of people are reaching out and trying to give you advice, and everybody means well, and it's coming from a really good place. But that may work for them, but to be honest with you, I took 1 or 2 phone calls and spoke to 1 or 2 people that I really trust. And after that, I didn't get back to a lot of people right away. It took me some time to get back to them because it was really important for me to focus on the team and for me to focus on what I needed to do and what we need to do as a staff. Because the only thing you can be is be authentic. And I think that's one of the reasons I've been able to develop really good relationships with these young men is because I am authentic with them. And I couldn't start trying to be someone I wasn't because now I was in a different role. So yeah, I think, the 2 biggest things, I go back to it, I said this in the press conference down in Richmond, was the relationships are so important. And that's what I leaned on, and I go back to being grateful for the guys, and I think the foundation was laid there because of the relationships we had. But then again, just having a confidence and a belief in yourself that you're going to find a way or you're going to make a way. And I had a tremendous staff around me, Anthony Evans, Dennis Felton, Herschel Jenkins, Steve Zurich. We had great GAs. They made it easy for me just to be me, and they really had my back. So those are the biggest takeaways.
Speaking of relationships, a couple of your players, including a focal point, Joel Soriano, had some really fantastic things to say about you in that post-game press conference in Richmond. With the future of Fordham basketball hanging in the balance, a little uncertain as we speak, what did those words mean to you?
Well, yeah, so they meant a lot. And Joel and I have had a relationship. He jokes around with me that he feels like I've known him half his life. I recruited Joel. So coming from him, that meant a lot, that belief and that support from him. And I said this, and I've said it throughout the time, I don't want to make this about me. And then talk about another takeaway. I thought that was good from a leadership standpoint of never letting it become about me, because the team never let it become about that individual, which can happen in these situations when you have an interim head coach of, all right, now I'm going to start trying to score 15 a night or 20 a night and play outside of my role. And that didn't happen when I was in the interim. So I think that was important to always keep the team first. But yeah, those words from Joel meant a lot. I go back to those relationships. That's why I coach, to have those kind of relationships. So for someone to have that belief in me was awesome. And after that, it's God's plan for me from here on out, whether it's to be at Fordham, but other people are making those decisions, people who are good people of character, between our athletic director, Eddie Cole, Father McShane, Fordham basketball will be in good hands.
Coach, it's been a pleasure. Best of luck this offseason and enjoy it.
Great. I appreciate it, man.
Hi, this is Coach Gately, and this is my 10th year at Fordham. I'm excited to be part of 50 years. On this call today, we have a variety of young ladies. We have Becky, who I played against when I was the head coach of Monmouth, and did not like that part, but was excited when I took the job that she'd be part of me coaching her. Then Abigail was part of the group that I inherited, along with a freshman class with Emily Tapio. And then Lauren Holden is somebody we've known for a long, long, long time, because her whole family has worked with my sister at Lower Cape May High School. So we recruited Lauren at a very young age, and obviously was an integral part of our program.
Emily, I'm sure you remember this when we were in Washington, D.C., enjoying a movie on a night out. This is Coach's first year, my senior year. Joe Biden just so happened to be in the movie theater. And Abigail, you remember this too. I don't know if you were in the theater with me, Abigail, but, you know, the ball was passed to me to say hello to VP Joe. And unfortunately, that was a basket I could not finish, because I just saw this man. He was out with his wife on a Tuesday, and, you know, probably one of the only times he doesn't get a chance to be by himself. So I didn't have I couldn't finish that one. I had to let him walk by, and, you know, the international symbol for choking was, you know, given to me for the past, for the week after that. So
every year we play all the different schools that are like Rams. So if we win all of those, we're the ultimate Ram. And I remember the one time we did that and Coach did a cartwheel in the locker room. I'll never forget it.
All right, so Lauren, you're the youngest. What are your takeaways from having an established program, already kind of a bar set to lead up to that success, and to almost continue to reach that bar and raise it?
Yeah, it was easier, you know, obviously having, you know, you guys play before I came in and you guys set the tone with everything. So I definitely think it was easier, but also like there's times where it was challenging as well, but it was fun. You know, I definitely think it was fun at the end of, you know, the day, no matter how hard it was. And, you know, you always had fun working towards something, and working towards something that you could all enjoy together.
That's one of the things I love about our program, is that we work really hard, but we always have fun. And I think that's a credit to Coach, but obviously winning is fun. Practicing is not always fun, but, you know, we talked about movies, cartwheels, and having fun. Like those are our kickoff memories. Becky and I, we like to play Yahtzee against each other virtually. So, she whooped my butt last time, so I need a rematch. Yeah. But just little things that you can just remember and catch up on is definitely great. Yeah. What about you, Coach?
I can't remember who asked, but somebody asked, like, is family important to you? I'm like, oh my God, faith and family is everything. And I'm like, they're the two most important things in my life. And they're like, so I remember somebody saying, thank God. And then we talked about desserts, and I'm like, this may actually have desserts on the road. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get a dessert without you guys getting dessert. Because that brought back one of my coaching memories. We were playing William and Mary when I was at Richmond, and we were the number 1 seed, and William and Mary was the 8th seed, the last seed. And we were at the banquet, like the postseason banquet before the tournament started. And they mixed us up at different tables, and I was with the kid from William and Mary, and I'd come back, and I had like an apple pie, I had like a pumpkin pie, 3 different pies to sample. And she sat there and didn't have any. I'm like, oh my God, no desserts, because we're not allowed. I don't want to say, oh, you're in last place. Honey, you're in last place. Seriously, game on, let's go. Like I said, I can answer to the mirror and to the cross, and that's all that matters to me. If I can answer to both, then I'm good, because they're my compass. I kind of leave a lot of my decisions to God, and I was talking to this nun that was kind of mentoring me through everything. I said, I think God's going to help me make the decision of what direction I'm supposed to go. If I'm supposed to be here at Monmouth to help certain kids here, he's going to direct me. If I'm supposed to go to Fordham, he's going to direct me. And I remember calling my mom the day I made the decision to go to Fordham, crying. And she's like, what is wrong, honey? I said, Mom, these are happy tears. I've made my decision, and I feel so much at peace right now with it.
So Coach touched on a lot of like lessons she's learned along the way as a coach. I guess we'll start with Lauren first, and we'll kind of work backwards. But what's 1 or 2 quick lessons that you took away from your time playing for Coach, and that you still, you know, keep close to your heart nowadays?
I think treating everyone with respect, and, you know, anyone you come across, like, just treating them with respect, because I think that goes such a long way. Like, it's such a little thing. And that, I mean, that's another thing too, like the little things we did in the program, like on and off the court. Like, I think that goes such a long way. And, you know, everyone you come across, like, just treat them with respect. And I think that's huge that I still, you know, go back on that, like, now.
Most specifically, that your attitude is contagious. I wish I had more of that at the front of my brain when I was younger, but hindsight is 2020. But now using that to like understand personal leadership as well. Coach taught us a lot about how motivation looks different to different people. So treating, just like Lauren said, treating everybody with respect, but respect in the way that motivates them to kind of join in what the program is doing. I definitely learned how to talk to different people differently because what they value is very different.
Be true to yourself and be true to your values and know what's important to you. Like Coach said, the cross in the mirror and faith and family, and she lives that every single day. So I would say, I know family and faith are important to me. We find churches on the road, and that's amazing. And that's special to a lot of our players in the program.
Only having Coach Gailey for 1 year, my last year, seeing how you can be successful and have fun, because I can be very on it, very serious, very no nonsense Becky. But it was nice to see that, we can have ice cream and also win a basketball game. Like, that's not a big deal. Whereas before, that wasn't how it was. Just practicing what you preach. Family, you could see the family in the right side of the gym corner every game. That's not just something that was said. That was a real thing.
I'm glad and I appreciate you guys picked up some lessons, because I learned from my coaches along the way as well. I mean, Harry at Villanova, I just, the one thing I can go back and realize, and maybe that's where I picked this up, is he really cared about us as people. Obviously he knew the game, but he really cared about us as people, and I never forgot that. I mean, obviously he was competitive, wanted to win and all that, but he was a good guy. My high school coach, competitive as hell, but good person, and I never felt like winning was the end for all people. So all these little lessons that I learned from my mom and dad and my coaches have kind of come to help me where I am today.
I graduated in 2015, and I still have dreams that I haven't scheduled enough coaching work, like coaches' workouts. Like, I'll wake up and be like, do I
You
have
mean nightmares?
Yeah.
I still get those too, literally. Like, being on time for stuff, I'm like so particular about it.
Guys, this is coming from the same kid that will try to come down to our team meal with no shoes on.
Like socks, though.
Yeah, socks.
Yeah. No, like a team meal, like at a hotel.
You went to the calf from the locker room with no shoes.
You did that. You went to the calf. Somebody said you went to the calf with no shoes on once.
No, it was downstairs in like the Dagger John, so it wasn't like in a calf.
Emily, who goes to paintball with slip-on like sandals? She went to paintball. We had to wait for her to go get those changed. Appreciate this one. So Lauren, we're having Lauren's story now. We're playing Penn State, like third game or second game of her freshman year. We're limited for point guard, so I have to play her at this point because I just had to. Penn State comes down a 2-on-1. Hedge recover, right? Hedge recover. No, she runs and takes the kid on the opposite side at the 3-point line, lets the kid go in for a layup, plays the kid at the 3-point line. I'm in the locker room thinking, maybe it made sense. Maybe it bothered them a little bit. Lauren's out there. She walks out after I come out of the coach's locker room, and she's got her socks on. She's got her phone. She goes, I'm trying to find my boyfriend. He goes to Penn State. I don't know where he is. He's supposed to meet me. He's somewhere in the gym. I'm like, and then look at us now. Then like complete turnaround. Second semester, her freshman year, complete turnaround. Like just really started.
Coach, you must see some of the greatest turnarounds ever from players from freshman year to senior year.
Oh my God. I mean, Emily was one of my favorite, and Lauren was one of my favorite. They're two of my favorite of how much they embraced and grew.
Yeah.
Some of the kids, obviously I knew you and Abigail already had that ingrained in you, but Emily was set that she was a freaking guard. Like we'd give them sheets her freshman year. I'm a guard. I'm like, you couldn't dribble past my mother right now. Seriously. And she put herself down for guard workouts. I'm like, is she freaking kidding me? Did you see her shot? Like, is she kidding me? Finally, when she embraced her role of like, hey, you could be a special player at like the 3-4 position if you understood your role. And she became a great player from it. But it's just having those
strong conversations and those honest conversations that aren't easy for me, but you know, they're the right ones to have.
I'll tell you what though, Emily and I play in like a basketball league, you know, for the older people. She bangs down low, I'll tell you that. She crushes on the block.
Yo, you don't want to play Becky's team when you play in the league.
Why?
They're way too serious.
My team is a bit intense.
And then there's some people that are named Becky Peter.
Wait,
and you're
is
like,
Abigail on that
guard her the
team?
whole game.
Is Abigail on that team?
I'm on Emily's team.
Wait
I
a
don't know why
second.
Becky
Yeah,
would-
I just run lines for a workout.
No, you know Abigail, she just hits a 3 in your face and jogs back on defense while she's smiling. That's how she talks.
She's been doing this in pickup games. She's been going like,
Yeah. I have another memorable story. When I first came in, I was like super weak. I don't know like where my ego came from, but like I couldn't lift anything, and Abigail was my lifting partner, and I literally could not bench the bar. And then like coach called me in and told me that Coop, who at the time was like 10, could lift more than me, and I was like, he's a boy.
And now you're a fitness guru. Look at you, Em.
yeah, look
I
at
know
you.
it only took like what 10 years
All right.
to learn how to do a push-up.
Oh my God.
Do you remember when coach would walk the track while we were running the gauntlet?
I remember that.
Like power walk next to us and be like,
Right, getting her workout in.
this is what
Coach,
it's
this is your 10th year. I'm doing the math, right? I'm a numbers person.
Yes, it
10th
is.
year of the history here. I was just doing that math, and I'm like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Because when you started, it was year 1.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I mean, you started with me, so that's why that's significant.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's year 1 when you start. But, you know, when my interaction with you was your first year, and you've been here for 10 years. I mean, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you.
My
I
pleasure.
love bragging about Fordham basketball.
Oh, well, it's been
Love
my
it.
pleasure. It's so much fun looking at all your faces, and you bring back such wonderful memories to me. I'm like, I laugh because some of the stories you're telling, I'm like, I don't remember. It's funny what kids remember, because I remember going back last year, my Richmond team got into the Hall of Fame, and it was, you know, and I said this when I went up to speak on behalf of the team, the first team we took to the NCAA tournament, and I said, you know, it's weird when you're playing and you're in that moment as a player, you never obviously think that you're creating history. And then when we got back, and I try to explain this to the players all the time, like that night when we all went out and had a few drinks, nobody's thinking, oh, Lauren was leading scorer and Abigail added this and Becky and Emily added this. We're just thinking, wow, they started telling stories. I'm like, I don't even remember that story. That was a very special time for me when we went back and had that Hall of Fame, because it made me realize, like, look at all the memories we created. And that's what we keep saying every year. You could create memories, you know, and be part of history of doing something special. But guys, I thank you guys, because you have a very special place in my heart. And I'm so thankful to have you guys in my life.